Alright, welcome back guys. Today I'm going to make a video about something that quite a few people have asked me about, but also it's something I'm pretty interested in because I've gone down this long road journey, whatever you want to call it, of trying to figure out the best way to make a budget night vision setup. And that includes rifle, light, lasers, all that kind of stuff, helmets, the NVGs themselves, everything else. So it's kind of an all-inclusive. And there have been some other videos. I know T-Rex Arms did a video about this a little while back. And honestly, in my opinion, their setup was still too expensive. I think they could have saved some money going some of the routes that I used. But this is just kind of a way to give you some ideas on ways that you can save some money, but still get a decent setup, or at least an entry level setup to where you can, at least if nothing else, get some training, get some practice in with something that may not be ideal, but is at least something that you can use now while you save up for nicer things down the road. Or, you could use this if you wanted to, just permanently. But just to show you what I'm working with here. So this is a Gen 1 NVG. It's made by Sightmark. It's the Ghost Hunter. It's like 1X by something. I can't remember. I bought it for about $250. It's been discontinued, sadly. I wish they didn't, because it's an analog NVG, which is nice, instead of something like digital. And it actually works with the PVS-14 J arms, which is nice, and which means that also you can hook up to a Noroto mount, or all the standard mounts that the PVS-14 will actually hook up to on your helmet. So if you can find one of these, buy it. If you can find one on eBay for say less than $500, I'd go ahead and buy it, because it's nice having capability. Is this thing as good as Gen 2 or Gen 3? Absolutely not. This thing is probably about, I would say it doubles your effectiveness at night, because with your standard, as your eyes develop night vision naturally, you can see fairly well in the dark. This pretty much doubles that, at least in my opinion. That's kind of what I've noticed. But it also allows you to see stuff in the IR spectrum, which makes fun toys like this over here useful, to where you can see things but other people can't. So even though this isn't the best device, it does allow you, to basically to play the game. You may not have the best equipment in the game, but you are already 4 steps ahead, of somebody who doesn't have any night vision capability whatsoever, to someone who's stuck with a white light like that. So that's what I have here. It's not the best thing. I'm actually saving up currently for PVS-14. This specifically I do just so you kind of know, I guess, how I have everything set up and why. I have this set up specifically to mount over my left eye. I'm left eye dominant, so that feels more natural to me, and also it allows me to use my non-NVG eye to aim through my reticle here if for some reason I need to switch over to white light. So this Eotech on here, just so you know, it's not an NVG capable. It's the EXPS2-0, which means it's the lower 1/3 height, which you want. I've had the lower mounted ones that are absolute co-witness. They're not as easy to aim with, from awkward shooting positions with gas mask, different stuff like that. So go ahead and do yourself a favor, get the taller one. You'll be happy you did. But again, I don't have this set up with NVG capabilities because I'm using a single tube that's always going to be mounted over my left eye, so I don't need that. I guess if you wanted it, spend an extra $100, go for it, but I'm trying to save money, so I went with this model here because of my specific setup. So my helmet, again, kind of showing you my hows and whys. This is an Inforce. This is a white light and an IR light built into one. This light is not good for a rifle, in my opinion. It's pretty decent for a helmet mounted light, because it gives you, again, kind of a floodlight spill area for white light and for IR. So this is pretty good for navigation. I also have a night core IR and visible like strobe light on top, just for identifications at night. In case you're wondering, this is like 30 bucks. This is 120. I can tell you right now, don't buy this light. It's not worth $130. If you could find it for less than 100 bucks, it might be worth buying as a helmet mounted option, but it's not worth getting on a rifle, and I'll kind of talk to that here in a second, because you can't use tape switches with it. So on here, I'll go over all my things briefly, and then I'll kind of talk a little bit more about each in detail. So this is a SureFire. This is the M640V model, the Vampire, which means, as you can see on here, it's got IR mode, and then you can turn the bezel on the top, and then you can also go to white light, and it has the offsetting. I also included, for an extra 75 bucks, this tail cap switch on the back, which allows you to plug in a tape switch, as well as having the little clicky option to where you can set it on permanently, which I wanted. You don't have to do that. You can just get the plug-in model, but then you're stuck with momentary light only. You don't have a constant on feature, and I like the ability of having constant on. So you can save yourself $75 to $100 by not getting this option and save some money. I also got this on Black Friday, so I got it for like 325 bucks. So 325, 75, so for $400 I got this entire setup. The M600 model, if you do get that one, just know it doesn't come with this, you know, high-speed cool boy mount on here. It's an M-lock that allows you to swing and pivot it and get it as close as you want to your, you know, IR devices mounted on top. Better. So that's that setup. For here, I have, and this to me is the biggest deal with this entire setup. You absolutely need this tape switch. This is the Unity Tactical Taps, and this is the variant 1, as you can see right here, but hopefully you can see what that is. There you go. They make this, and so the front light, as you can see, there's one little dot here, there's 2 dots here. So the 1 dot, if you, here, I'll go ahead and do it for you. So 1 dot gives you momentary of your flashlight, whether it's on white or if you turn it to IR, that will give you IR illumination as well. If you hit this button back here, and obviously your IR laser would have to be turned to momentary, then if you turn this one to either white light or IR light or whatever, whenever you hit this one, it turns on both at the same time. And most other tape switches, and I'll grab one here for you. For instance, like this SureFire one, this one is just momentary for one device or the other. So, and also, so you know, this is a knockoff Arisaka mount. This is not the real thing. This is off Amazon. It's like $10, $12. And go ahead and buy this now if you want one to practice with. It's actual anodized aluminum. Don't know what kind of aluminum. It's Chinesium, who knows, but it feels pretty solid for 10 bucks, and it mounts a M-lock and Picatinny rail. So for $12, I mean, buy it. Also, this is not a real SureFire knockoff. I bought these things just to test them out. This is on an airsoft gun, as you can see. Ooh, bright orange. I just tested this. I bought this specific rig to just kind of run in my backyard, just to kind of fun, test out some things. All right, so for instance, this light right here, or this tape switch, if I turn it to IR, so here is your white only, and again, this is an airsoft gun. I use it to just kind of test different things. It's just kind of fun. This is a knockoff SureFire Vampire light off eBay. It's like $70. It's a fake Arisaka mount. It's like 12 bucks off Amazon, I think. Both of these are actually fairly solid for the money. And it actually uses real tape switches. Comes with a clicky tail switch and a plug-in on the back. But the first button, as you can see, is white light only. If I had this plug into a PEC 15 or, you know, say my Holosun over there, this plugs in there, then the back button would activate that. But there's no way to activate both at the same time, which is necessary, in my opinion, because now if you have an IR laser device that also has an IR illuminator, meaning you don't need the SureFire, then this doesn't apply to you. But those devices, at least ones that work well, are at least $1,500. So that to me is where you're spending extra costs, whereas you're saving it with my setup over here. So just know that if you're going to go with this whole setup that I have right here, don't buy one of these tape switches that only has one or the other. You need to buy the Unity, or if you can find another company that makes one that does the same thing, you need one that activates both devices at the same time with one push button. Otherwise, you're just going to have to leave one device on all the time, which in my opinion would probably be the IR laser, but then you're giving away your position to anybody else who is using NVGs. So that's that. I'm not an expert on tactics or any of that, so if you are, more power to you, do what you want. But so on here, I bought this device here. I think you can get it for around $125. It's worth the money. Spend it. It's a very solid mount. Again, you have one, but it's just the white light, and then one that's 2. It works really well. I like the fact that you can activate the IR flashlight as well as the IR laser at the same time, and it works fairly well together. So I'll try to throw in some footage of me shooting stuff here and there. I don't know, because I know you, like me, probably get bored watching a little table with stuff in the background. You like seeing people shooting at the range, so I'll try to include some of that stuff here. But the next thing on the list, which is just critical as everything else, this is your way to aim under NVG. So this is a Holosun. This is their LS117IR model, I believe. They also make I think an LE version, which is like titanium, so it's a little bit tougher in theory. This works just fine for me. It's around 200, 225, depending on if you can find one in stock anywhere. The only complaint I have about this is this little piece right here that this plug plugs into. That's a little part that sticks out. If I rotate this, it actually starts to unscrew. That's, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just tighten it back down, but it's kind of obnoxious. It's the only negative I've had of dealing with this thing. But it's nice because, as you can see, it offsets off to the left. The entire body does. That way the IR laser is directly over the bore. And it works the same way, you know, if you mount it on the side down here, it would be offset a little bit. So depending on, you know, your setup, I moved it on top. That way I don't have to worry about windage. I only have to worry about, you know, the elevation drop. So that's why I have this set on top. Then I have the SureFire. And again, the nice thing about the 640 model is it has this little mount that allows you to really suck it up into.
Eight. Two. Four. Ten.
And the reason I have this on the left side is I don't necessarily like it because I can't activate because I'm right-handed, which means my hand, see if I can get behind the camera over here. So my hand is naturally right here all the time. So I can roll my thumb over and just, you know, click it if I want to and go back. So if I need to use, you know, constant on, it just rotate my gun, not a big deal. I wish I could mount it on the right side and the Holosun was actually more to the left or on the right side. That way I could reverse it and then I could always hit this easily, but it works fine. It actually kind of clears up this side. I'll talk about this mount here in just a second. But so one thing I'll say about this SureFire Vampire, if you're, again, I'm working with Gen 1 NVGs, so take this for what it's worth. If you have Gen 3s, you know, you're going to have a different experience. But the same kind of holds true. If one light is brighter than the other, it's going to be the same. It's still going to be brighter for Gen 3. It's just, it's going to be, you know, more bright. The SureFire is kind of, I wasn't disappointed with this performance, but compared to something like, honestly, this eBay knockoff, this thing for $70 doesn't perform. I would say it performs probably about 75% of what that does. And it's just because it's more of a flood, it doesn't focus as much. This one has much better focus, so it carries a little bit further. But because it's an IR white light combo, it's not great at either. It's good at both, but it's not great. So just know if you get the setup, it's going to be a compromise. But this light specifically, with this setup, with this Gen 1 NVGs, it's good out to, I would say, probably about 100 yards, and you can still take, you know, you can still see people. So the reason I have this, and again, this, I'll tally up everything so you can see what the cost is, and you can see if this stuff is worth it for you. And in my opinion, it is. But over here, as you can see, I have a little section of Picatinny rail mounted right there to the M-lock. And the reason I have that on there is so I can choose to use something like this if I want to. So here's a brand, it's a Cyansky. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. This is an IR only light. You can see there's the IR. So this has a little QD mount on here. I wish they made this flashlight body a 1-inch so you didn't have to buy their proprietary mount. So that's a little annoying, but just know if you buy this light, buy their mount, because otherwise you're going to have to wrap it with tape to get it to fit a standard offset 1-inch mount. But one nice thing about this is you can put it right here, strap it down, tighten it, and now you have this gun right here. Now you got two lights on here. That's really, really bulky. Now this is a lighter weight AR. You can see there's a pencil barrel on this thing. So the weight is probably about a normal AR-15 at this point. But this light, if you haven't seen my review, is just a IR monster. This thing will just, it'll illuminate stuff out to 300-400 yards with my Gen 1 NVGs. So if you have Gen 3 NVGs, you know, and you have a long range shot, like this is what you're going to want, because this thing being a dedicated IR light, it doesn't have white light capabilities, and also the battery on here is just, you know, it's one of the larger batteries. It outperforms this thing by a substantial margin. So that's just why I have this on here. And you could carry something like this, you know, in your pocket, in a pouch, whatever. And if you need the capability for longer range shooting, you know, past 100, 150 yards, whatever it is, because you're limited with Gen 1 capability with the NVGs there, you can, you know, strap this on there, and now you can shoot out to 300 yards and still be able to see. So that's why I have this on there. So if I want, I can throw this on there. I'm not going to keep it on there all the time because that's added weight. I don't want it, but that's just an option. And another thing too, they actually just sent this out to me. They sent me both of these, so full disclosure, you can call me a shill. I don't care. They send it to me. I'll tell you what I think. This is their white light. The body's the exact same. The tail cap's the exact same. The battery's the exact same. The only thing that's different is the head. So if you want to, you could just carry, you know, the head on there. But you can put this in a mount, and this is your white light. So if you wanted something that, again, was a white light that was capable for farther distances, you could throw it on a quick detached mount just like that other one and put it on there on the side. I like having options, and this piece of Picatinny rail weighs absolutely nothing, so why not throw it on there? They also, in case you're wondering, sell tape switches for those, and this tape switch, or tail cap, whatever you want to call it, fits both of these. So, you know, carry this and this if you want it. I wouldn't use a tape switch because I wouldn't leave this on there on my gun the entire time. I just use the tail cap switch. Just, you know, click it if I want it, click it if I don't. If you guys have any questions about this, hopefully this gave you a fairly good idea on how to set up your stuff. In case you're wondering about wire management, just use zip ties. As you can see on here, zip tie. There's another zip tie down in there. Hopefully you can see that. And you can, just so you can see how I kind of mounted everything on there, to give you some ideas. I'll tally up everything, put in a little asterisk right here for how much all of this cost. But again, it's a substantial savings compared to any other video I've seen out there, and this gives you full capability. The only thing this doesn't give you, again, is dual tubes, which I don't think, honestly, if you're watching this video and you can afford dual tubes, this video is not really for you to begin with. But this is a way for you to get the cheapest possible setup that will still work. Because again, it gives you the ability to have IR light and an IR laser at the same time, one button, and I really, really like that. So hopefully y'all appreciate this. Give us a like if you enjoy this kind of content. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Comment down below. I don't know, start a fight with somebody, have at it, enjoy yourself, have fun. But I hope y'all have a good one.